What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lazaro Lab. And today we have our producer, the seducer, Jonathan Juarez. This is a little special. Sorry, I got to adjust my mic.
Yeah, let's adjust.
We're making some adjustments. Yeah, we got a little special podcast for you today. We're going to talk to Jonathan about what his fitness goals are right now. Maybe we'll just talk about all the goals, but fitness goals in particular. You're making a comeback.
Basically, yeah.
You know, the last podcast we touched on some of the things that you were changing anyways. Mm-hmm. And what I figured is we'll go through kind of like a mock consult, kind of how I would talk to one of my clients to give people an understanding of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And help give you some more direction.
Awesome. Yeah. That's what I've been needing.
Yeah.
All right, so where do we start off at?
So you stop eating. No. Done deal. Yeah. Well, okay. You started training at CrossFit.
I wouldn't call it training. I will call it physical therapy.
Yeah. You started physical therapy how long ago?
Maybe 2 months ago.
Couple months, yeah. Prior to that, I mean, you've been dealing with an injury.
Yeah. 2 bulging discs on my lower back. I think it was L4 and L5. Mm-hmm. And, the type of pain that I experienced from this, it's like I'm sore all the time. Mm-hmm. There's, now I know it's inflammation in my lower back, but at the time, it was just pain.
Yeah,
I couldn't really do much. I always been active throughout my life, and when I went to the doctor for my injury before, he confirmed what it was, he didn't believe me. Oh, because he said, you're moving well.
Yeah,
he didn't believe that.
Dealing with the pain.
I had a lot of pain. It took me. I was able to move, but after I got up, warmed up, and then I'll be able to walk around normally. But before that, it's a lot of pain. And then after that, you just get used to the pain.
Did they put you on painkillers?
More like let's see. I think.
Well, like ibuprofen.
It was ibuprofen, for inflammation, and also like a muscle relaxer.
Oh yeah.
Baclofen.
Like Flexerol or something.
It's called Baclofen. This one, but then I had them change it because it was making me too drowsy.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I was like, no, I don't want this. And I have a baby, so I gotta be fully alert, especially with the baby.
This little one is getting to that point where she wants to run around.
Oh yeah, she's taking steps. Now she's getting more dangerous.
Yeah.
And I have to be on top of my game to be behind her and trying to stop her.
Yeah, exactly. So you started making some of these changes because, dealing with the injury. Prior to that, if we turn things back a little bit further, you got in probably some of the best shape you were in how long ago?
Yeah, it was the best shape of my life. Maybe around 2015, 2016. Yeah, 2015, that's when I started. Mm-hmm. Actually, that was when I was at my fittest.
Yeah.
I got down from about maybe 220 to 180.
Okay.
And, I was fit,
Yeah,
I wasn't just skinny, I got muscle, I was very lean. But I had a different mindset back then. I had other ideas of what I wanted to do with my life. So I was very dedicated to working out, eating healthy, and, looking better. And that was a lot of work. And now what I'm trying to figure out is how to do that again, but in a more not so aggressive.
Sustainable,
yeah, because the way I was doing it back then, I wouldn't go to family parties.
Yeah.
Mexican parties, you have to eat. There's no, or else you're going to have everybody asking you all night, why aren't you eating? Why aren't you eating?
Yeah, exactly.
And it gets kind of annoying. And I don't want to ruin, I don't want to kill the vibe, I guess, as I could put it.
I get it.
I don't want to be there and be like,
you also want to enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable for me or them if I'm not going to be eating at a party with the whole family,
Yeah. Well, okay. So after you got in the best shape of your life, where did things start to change? Where you felt like you started reversing or backtracking, or what happened? Where was this?
My ambition of I wanted to be a bodybuilder kind of started dying off. Because I realized, okay, this is way more work than I expected. Because it was hard enough to get where I was, but to get to that next little level where everybody's already at my level, but they're getting to the next level, it takes a lot, even more hard work, more dedication, and life started happening. probably job changes, moving around. A lot of things happen, so just kind of like.
Did you kind of get burnt out?
I burnt out too because I was on a keto diet for over a year.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a long time, and then I did a lot of keto and then a lot of fasting as well. I would do like a whole day fast, 1 meal a day for a while. It was working for a bit. I was able to maintain it because I was eating a lot of good calories.
Yeah,
I was doing a lot. I had like half a pound of turkey with vegetables, and then vegetables would be like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and then I would do either mayonnaise, some type of olive oil, coconut oil, just for the fats.
So it sounds like it was more maintainable at that point in your life, though.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
life circumstances shifted to something different.
Yep.
Lost momentum.
And I got married too, So I mean, it was fine. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not. No, that's the reason. She was able to look at me because I wasn't looking as bad at that moment. But
you're not a bad-looking guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I was in really good shape when I met my wife. and I was able to maintain it for a while, and then I started getting more comfortable again. Once you get married. You don't, the expectations change a little bit to like, okay, do I want my partner to look this way or like, do I really care or not? And I kind of just, not that I didn't care about how I look. I do care about how I look, but I didn't put that much emphasis on how I was looking at that moment anymore. Because I was out of the dating market.
Yeah. So the habits started changing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And, my wife and I moved into our own place, for the first time together. So that was a lot of change too. Another thing that really stumped my health stuff was the job that I had previously. It was very physical, and I was basically either picked to work out or do the job. You couldn't do both. I mean, you could, but you're not gonna make it for the rest of the week because the amount of calories that I would burn if I did a good session of therapy, really long session of therapy. That'd be the amount of calories I'm burning throughout the day.
Yeah,
so it's like a constant, and. At a workplace, they treat you like a machine. You're not a machine.
No.
You have your limits.
Yep.
And they'd rather have us do overtime than hire more people.
Oh God.
You get and that's not a good way to live. It's a lot of pressure on this and this guys. Because a lot of these guys
physical.
It's a lot of mental, a lot of physical. It's a depressing place working in a freezer.
Yeah,
I worked in a freezer, and it's not because it's all light. This is fake lighting. There's no sun.
Cold as hell.
You're in a little rat cage, but it's cold as hell. I had to wear sweatpants, my snowboarding suit on.
Going through the snow every day.
I had the face mask too. I had a beanie on top. Woo. Yeah, it was, and then you start sweating when you get moving.
Oh yeah, that's not comfortable.
And then that's when I was fasting too. So my body temperature was not regulating well, dude.
Yeah.
I realized that I thought, man, I can't keep doing this.
No,
I get them super cold. Then I think I just randomly found out if I ate throughout the day, it was better.
Oh yeah,
and I was just okay. I have to eat now. I can't go fasting and being in a cold place at the same time.
So can you recall a moment when you realized you started regressing a lot, or was it just so subtle that it just kind of?
I was already not regressing, but I was more free. I had more freedom on my food choice. I was like, it's fine. That's okay if I eat ice cream with my wife on the weekend or get a pizza during the day.
Rightfully
during
so,
the week.
Yeah,
doing stuff like eating out during the week. That was fine because I wanted to spend time with my wife.
Not being so restricted.
Exactly. I didn't want to put her off and not be able to go out because she enjoys going out and I enjoy it too. So both of us enjoy it. So I went that route more. It's okay. Let's go eat. But what really did me in is when I got injured at work. That's what really did me in because I was eating the same amount of calories but not burning the same amount.
That's a big no.
Yeah, it's been over a year now. It's been a long process. The first year was really hard. I was, it's a double-edged sword. I was having my baby. The pandemic happened.
Yep.
I'm injured.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
going on.
And I was the only at the time the only able body at the house.
Yeah.
Even though I was injured because I live with my father-in-law. He's in the age group that it was more dangerous for them.
Yeah.
My wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
We had a baby in that time, so it was like all fell on me.
Yeah.
And being at home all the time, all this pressure. I've been through a lot of stuff throughout my life, so I'm able to take it in.
Yeah.
I don't need to be, not that it's bad to cry or anything. I could do that, but I just tend not to because it's always been.
You just decided to move forward.
Exactly. Yeah. I just move forward, but it does build in.
Yeah.
And I think when I start talking to myself and realizing, I think you might be a little depressed right now.
Yeah,
like
depression.
Yeah, because I never felt that before.
Wearing you down.
Yeah, wearing me down.
Tired.
Stress. The pressure having a new kid coming in.
Yeah.
The wife, and I was like, oh man, I can't work. Okay, because I don't know. I couldn't work anymore, so it's like I didn't have really any purpose. I mean, I was taking care of my kid, but you need a little more. You need because I now understand housewives why they want to get out of the house. I completely get it, so funny. I get you there, ladies. Okay.
Yeah.
And I grew up with nothing but women too.
Yeah.
I grew up with my mom, my grandma, my sister. And now I have my wife and my daughter. So I lived through all generations of women at once.
You got to be extra, man.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a lot to go on. And, I like to hear your story. I love hearing your story like this because what it does is it lays out a progressive timeline of what happens and how things come up and how easy it is for us to stop prioritizing our health and certain decisions where we start to compromise. And it's not to say that we should never enjoy ourselves, because I think if you're not enjoying life to some extent, it's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, why what are we doing?
I think that's when I went wrong, because I was so strict with my diet at the time when I first started. Super strict, like dedicated every day. I was spending, I was cooking twice a week, had all my meals ready all the time, don't go to parties. But then I kind of went the other way. Like, okay, I like to start enjoying things. Yeah. I went the whole opposite. Like, now I enjoy too much.
And that's I say that's very typical with most people. It's, they have spurts of their life where they're extremely strict, followed by, kind of chaos to a degree. The interesting thing about that is that there has to be, that version of balance within everybody, arguably, and that looks different for everybody. And so, like, one thing I explain to everybody is, to me, my lifestyle is very sustainable. But if I lay out
talking about that, guys, I had him write out his lifestyle, right?
That's my daily routine. And that's just how my day flows. And it's sustainable to me. You know what I mean? It's just I've engineered everything around making that work. But, it's just one of those things that's taken how long to get here.
How long did it take you to get, like, fully aware of yourself?
Oh, man. That's a good question,
Because, it took me years to actually, you go through your phase of teenager and you start maturing and you kind of start looking inward more, and then you realize, okay, this is exactly what I'm doing wrong.
It's been in phases, right? They say you live, your life is segmented into phases of life, and I'm entering this new phase. I'm edging to 40 years old now, and that's just like where I believe I'm really living now. And everything prior to that has been an extreme sense of learning and being willing to take risk and try things and deal with failures and success and all these things. And it's still, obviously, I'm still going to go through those things, and I know that. But the progression, like, so if I turn all the way back through my teenage years, I was very, I would say I appeared confident, but I wasn't. Internally, I was extremely unsure of who I was. I struggled a lot with what people thought of me, and I struggled a lot with meeting expectations that felt like they were imposed on me. So, one of the things in our family, it's like none of us have, successfully been through college, and I was the one who had the educational background growing up, where I was going to be the one, and then it all, and I eventually, I went, and then I dropped out to become an entrepreneur.
The greatest, dude. They drop out of college, dude.
Well, I had to come to terms and come to realize that, for me to live the life I want on my terms, I can't do it by going to school, number one.
Following somebody else's guidelines.
Well, we all have guidelines to follow, but
you made this guideline.
Yeah, but we take other successful people's guidelines, and we take what we think is good. Like, this is not this routine of my day that just kind of flows. It's so embedded into my DNA that I can't even tell you where I came up with like how this would work.
You just figure it out.
It progressed through the years, and then in my 20s, and then diving headfirst into my career rather than proceeding with schooling during a time where it was like I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. And this is why I tell every person in their early 20s, you need to risk it all. You need to take every risk possible because you have nothing to lose.
I wish I would have had the mentality at 20, because now I'm getting that mentality, but I'm already getting to 30.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah. It's like you have other life experiences that brought you to where you're at now, right?
Yeah, it's been a lot of different.
And so, like, I think my answer, my long-winded answer, is basically, I think it's just been done in phases. Progressed into my adulthood, into my 20s, and then my 20s was spent, really pushing the limits of absorbing and learning and being completely open to everything. It followed by figuring out in my 30s who I am definitively as a man and my purpose in life, in direction, and and how I want to leave behind my legacy. And then, like I said, the closer I get to 40, it feels like I'm actually living it out.
Awesome.
And so it's like those segments, and then eventually I'll be, in my 50s, in my 60s, and it's just, it's just never ending.
And that's what I'm getting to understand now, that there's not going to be an end game.
No.
And there's just you just got to keep playing the game.
You said it right there. So this is actually a hard conversation I have to have with most people about their food. Mm-hmm. And exercise. Like the funny thing is, let's talk about the exercise one. I commonly get asked, like, especially when people decide to start training CrossFit, they're like, when do you not get sore, or when do you not feel like you are beat up almost? I'm like, well, when you die. Like, that's because if you stop moving, you'll be in pain. If you continue to move, you're going to be in pain. Like, it's just a byproduct of life in general. But I'll tell you this, by no means are you going to be in as much pain as people were back in the day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then food, you have two choices: to nourish your body more often, and to be cognitive and selective and impose discipline, or to allow the environment to influence you that leads to self-sabotage and guilt and remorse and all these other negative emotions that follow that.
Yep.
And so those are the two spectrums, and it doesn't mean you need to be on one end or the other, but it's an acceptance that it's a journey that's never going to end.
Yeah. And
giving up means, surrendering to the side that's going to lead to a quicker death and less enjoyable life.
Yeah, because I've seen my whole family struggle with their health, their whole life, and I think other than being attracted to women that I started working out, I also saw how my family struggled with health and fitness. Yeah. I think I'm one of the second one in my family that that actually pursue being fit and getting into healthy stuff. And I just, because I saw how a lot of my family members have diabetes. Yep. They're overweight. And, that's not good.
No, I mean, roughly 100 million people are pre-diabetic or are diabetic or are unaware that they're diabetic. That's it's over 1/3 of our entire population in the United States.
Yeah, and I think it's something else that people should think about is, like, my family has diabetes, so I could get diabetes. And if your family has a certain disease due to weight, you got to think about that. You could get those same diseases.
Yeah, and even if you're not genetically prone to it, you can still
you can get it.
There's an old saying, it's that genetics load the gun, environment pulls the trigger, so it's always your choice.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm not learning that.
Everybody dies of the same thing eventually. Mm-hmm. It's just your choice of the general quality of life up to that point where you either die of a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. You can do it in your 90s, or you can do it in your 70s.
Yeah,
or
now.
50s, or now. Like, I know guys my age or younger than me that have suffered from heart attacks in their mid-30s. Yeah. That's pretty bad.
That's scary.
And it's all the byproduct of life choices, and it's and that's the thing. It's like when we're talking to people about making these changes, it's not like, hey, you need to start eating chicken and broccoli to lose weight. It's you need to think about how you look at food differently, because your brain is inherently wired to consume the most food that it can in the easiest convenience possible of its most delicious form. Those three things, right? So if you think about that, if you think about all those times that you had the decision to make, and it's an autonomous decision that's being made for you, because you either allow it to stop and then make a different decision, or you just go with the flow, which is what most people do.
So you're like autopilot, but you could make the choice to turn it off.
Yeah, but the autopilot never really turns off. You just eventually come up with new autopilots.
Okay,
and
new patterns of behavior,
habits, whatever you want to call them. And that's at the stem of making change. It's always going to run down to what habits are you feeding into, right?
Yeah.
There's a I think it's a native story about two wolves.
Okay.
There's you can choose to feed which side. The one that's constantly probably feeding into the negative things of life. And obviously I'm like bastardizing this story, but there's a general idea behind it. It's you're either going to feed into the things that are going to help reinforce these new patterns and behaviors, or you're going to feed into the opposite. There is no other. And it's just like there's this idea that we can live without any that we can live without any restrictions and live without any consequence. And we see it.
There's always consequence.
Yeah. Well, this is how I've raised my children thus far too. I tell them, you can have this or you can do that. It's your choice, but you have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
And it's funny telling a 6-year-old that, and they're looking at you like, is this a trick?
Are you gonna leave me here?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. And then they're like looking at me like,
and and as a kid, you might not understand exactly what your parents are saying, but you understand the tone.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm in trouble.
Well, it's funny now. It's like, I swear my kids are more philosophical than I want.
I want them to
argue. Yeah.
Argue with you more.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's just like knowing you have the choice and knowing that it is your choice is part of the battle. But understanding that inherently some people may have it more difficult, and that's a real thing. Some people, when they're suffering from obesity, you're not. By the way. Well, I mean, when people are.
Well, I mean, by the paperwork that I got from the hospital. I mean, a long time ago.
They said you were obese.
Obese level 2.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, they haven't changed it either.
There's a threshold. So, I mean, part of that, what I always tell people is things like BMI that do project obesity on the population are relevant only for people who do not exercise.
Yeah.
So that's the majority of the population.
Because you're just measuring mass.
Yes, mass relative to height and
exactly.
age.
Not measuring muscle mass, skeletal mass, water weight, all the other good stuff.
Yeah. And the reality is, if someone's like 5'5", 5'6", 300 pounds, like I don't care how much muscle you have, you're still obese. Generally,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's a lot of weight to put on.
There's no way you're going to convince me that you're completely healthy, right? That you're not. Yeah. And so. Like physiologically, there's limitations to our to growth in general on purpose, and then there's optimal. It's not to say everyone needs to be the same weight. Definitely not saying people should be skinny per se. I would say that's unhealthy to a degree.
I had had the longest misconception, and a lot of people do too, that being skinny means you're healthy.
Yeah,
and I don't think
it depends. Generally more.
There's a higher chance to be healthier, right?
There's a higher chance associated with body weight, but if they do not have sufficient muscle mass, they're typically at risk for almost the same things that obese people are.
Okay, they're not protected.
Fat.
Yeah, they're not protected.
So they're protected against certain things, possibly, but
like diabetes, maybe.
But I've seen normal, regular sized people who don't. It's not what you would stereotype as a diabetic. Be diabetic, which is and it's just there's these cultural norms and things that people want people to accept, and it's like Yeah, I mean, should people love themselves? Absolutely. But should we also be realist about what is unhealthy? Yes, we really should. This is why people are fucking hella unhealthy. You know?
I'm guessing I'm more old school because what's it called? What got me started on this journey as well, it was the shaming. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of shaming. You know, people picked on you when you were the big kid.
Yeah.
And I always been the big kid in my life. You know, they messed with me all the time about my weight. But like I said, I was always able to just take it in. It's like, it's fine. That's just life.
Yeah.
I accepted it as it was. But but yeah, where was I going with this? Let's move on.
Well, no, I mean shaming in general.
Yeah.
There is some merit to it.
That's what works. That's what worked for me at the time.
Yeah. Per individual.
Yeah, per individual. Yeah, because I know that's not how people want to approach it anymore.
It's heavily discouraged from, and I would say for a certain percentage of the population that's not been brought up in the same manner. Mm-hmm. Like you've had to live through some hard times.
Yeah.
People who typically have lived through some hard times are more, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, based on people I know and personal experience. So this is not like an educated thing coming from a study. People who've been through more in terms of hardship, whether that's being financially hardship or physical hardships and things like that, tend to be more resilient to things like shaming.
Yeah.
And they can use that negativity and turn it into some type of positive reinforcement to get shit done.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was doing.
Exactly. Yeah, but most people, like I would probably argue, because my children are growing up in a very kosher, like super easy environment.
Yeah.
Never had to miss a meal. Complain about, oh, we have steak again. Like, motherfucker. Like seriously,
can you? Do I have to have the white iPad?
Yeah, exactly. Can I have the other iPad?
Yeah.
I would argue maybe they're going to be less resilient to things like shaming because they haven't had to grown that tolerance and develop grit in that perspective. Mm-hmm. But it's so much of a necessity to learn how to do that, but not to the point where you're just totally breaking people apart.
Or beating them down.
Yes, and that I completely disagree with, and that truly is when we're talking about bullying, is where your intention is to destroy this person.
Yeah,
that is horrible. Like, like it is. It's terrible. We see what it does.
I was used to it, I guess.
But you're different.
Yeah, I took it all in. I was like, that's fine, whatever. I'm just basically I was just trying to make it. That's all I was doing. I was trying to survive.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing. I was just trying to survive. Like, I'll just go with the flow.
Yep.
What is it like? What Tupac say? How can you expect me to be an angel amongst demons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am looking at the timer.
Yeah, let's take a little break.
Take a slight break.
Yeah, a little break.
And we're back.
We're back, guys.
So, need a little break because we don't know how to work the camera yet. No.
I'm figuring it out, okay?
I don't either. So, anyway, so we're going to dive a little more into the specifics of what I feel is and how I've helped many of my clients become very successful at their pursuit of improving their health overall. And that may be so many things, meaning most people come to see me for weight loss. And then there's people that are performance-based athletes that want to increase their general performance in whatever sport that they're doing. But, weight loss is the pinnacle of them all, mainly because it's the thing that I would say hinders the vast majority of our population that needs to be addressed. And it's so ever linked to our mental health and all our general health. So, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. So what's the most important thing that you have to actually accomplish in the next couple of weeks?
The next couple of weeks, I think it would be keeping this podcast going.
That's 100% going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and
I'm talking about your related to your
fitness goals.
Fitness,
yes, fitness goals. Well, just maintain weight loss and be able to control my eating. I don't want to I don't want to feel a slave to it, but I also want to be able to make the right choices without thinking about making the right choices.
So how important is it for that to happen, though?
It's very important now. It's become more important as the more time I spend with you guys. Yeah. It has become more important to me to do it.
We're shaming him daily.
Exactly. No, like I said, I work better that way.
No. Okay, so when we think about like levels of importance and how we prioritize our what we do, what have you done different recently to prove to yourself that you are prioritizing that?
So I've been taking some of your tips that you show me, things that you said. I started now when I get up in the morning, I drink a big old cup of water. Mm-hmm. That's how I start. Then I drink my coffee. Take care of my daughter, make sure she has her bottle, put her to sleep. And now what I've been doing too is I'm just preparing a bunch of food at once, basically meal prepping. Mm-hmm. But I just weigh the same weight, everything's the same weight. Mm-hmm. Keep it simple. We have just having protein ready, like you said. You mentioned that eating protein throughout the day helps people lose weight. And that's what I've been doing, and it also makes me feel better. Yeah. I've been noticing a little bit. I haven't been doing it for that long either. It's probably like maybe a few days now. Yeah. Probably longer than a few days, and I still already feel the difference. I've been going to sleep earlier.
Nice.
I was going to sleep like at 2 a.m. Now I go to sleep at 10.
When I found that, I was like, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to fix this shit.
Exactly. But now I'm going to sleep at 10 with my wife.
Yeah, good.
And I'm making an effort too of having time set for spending time with my wife, my baby, doing certain things, just having cover all the bases. Not,
nice.
Because I could get into the mode where I'm just focusing on one thing and that's all I do.
Yeah, all, when you had no wife and kids, you could do that.
Exactly, and I can't do that no more. Nope. You can't. It's impossible now.
So let me ask you this then: why is it imperative that you make these changes?
I want to be around for my daughter, my wife. I want to be able to provide for them. And I have to be healthy if I want to do anything in the future that I want to do with my wife and my daughter. I have to be healthy.
Yeah.
Accidents happen. I could get killed by a car. Yeah. Anything, that. But I have to cover all my bases. And you
don't want to go out from diabetes.
No, I don't want to go out from diabetes, heart disease, liver failure.
Yeah.
All the things that you could get from just being a bigger person. Being obese, like truly obese. Because I could get to that point.
Yeah.
The reason
I think anybody can.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, like I could see the way I'm eating, how that would. I could see it because there's times when it's like a demon takes over me.
Yep.
And I just eat, even though I know I'm full, I had enough, but my body's telling me like, try that now.
So let me ask you this. So I think that's an amazing reason to do what you're doing, because it's rooted in the necessity to take care of the self so you can benefit others.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's what a real man does anyways, arguably.
Because I want to be able to provide for her, and I know if I change, I know when first time I did the fitness stuff and, actually got in really good shape and stuff, it just made my life all around better.
Yeah, you feel more resilient to things.
Exactly.
Life feels easier.
Yeah, you're actually like cruising on an easier mode. I don't know. Yeah. People treat you better. Doesn't,
Well, you also carry yourself differently.
Yeah,
you're taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
So.
You feel more a sense of confidence, because you're doing this on your own. You're doing it.
Yep.
And the bad thing about that, when you get in that position, there's people that are going to want to bring you down because you're making them see what they could be, but they're not doing. So you kind of like, it's like they feel like you're shaming them just by doing those things.
Yeah, and that's very normal and I don't even think people do it intentionally.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's nefarious by nature, but what happens is, and they do talk about this in some psychology. It's like what people are doing is essentially they don't like their surroundings to change, and when they see change, it becomes the enemy essentially.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, why maybe they're internalizing other issues, and then that results into
taking it out
on other people, saying different things, criticizing, and we that's an unfortunate world that we live in and have to exist in, and accept that that's just going to be normal.
I'm one of the persons that I think we need both. We need the order and the chaos. We
need, 100%.
Yeah, we need to be. I'm okay with it. That's what I'm saying. Like I was able to.
That's just how things work. Yeah. Anyways, nature operates in order and chaos.
Yeah,
like, and true. We're not separate from nature.
Yeah, if you guys follow the Nature's Metal page on Instagram, you'll know.
Yeah. but the thing is like, I think sometimes we forget that we're just human, and being human, and this is maybe a little different. I think it's important to think like, okay, yeah, we're special to somebody, but we're not.
Yeah, right. No one cares about you.
Realistically, there's only
other than your family and friends. Then not everybody's like whatever.
You're just a speck.
You're a number. You're just another number.
And what's really what made me really introspective on that is like when I got into mountaineering, to be on top of a giant mountain and realize, I could disappear.
Yeah, no one would know.
No one would find me.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah, most likely, yeah.
Depends which mountain I climb. But, nonetheless, like that's the thing. It's like part of the success that people have when they start making these changes is going through self-realization, self-acceptance, and then progressing towards personal responsibility, right? And then the thing you strive for, and you get kind of like this nice dopamine hit, is when you start putting together this causation correlation factor, like when I do this and live this way, this happens.
Yeah.
And it's like you get addicted to that. But the fortunate thing is, and it's the way our brains are already wired in that sense, it's like you continue to create this environment for these to happen until it happens.
Yeah.
And
you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky, basically.
Luck.
That's I mean, I should use a different phrase, but that's what I've used, I guess, or maybe just more of a, I guess the thing that I'm good at, that I realize that I'm good at seeing potential in things and people and situations.
You're an optimist.
Yeah, I'm an optimist.
I'm a pessimist.
Yeah, like I can see, I see like, okay, if I go to this place, good things are gonna happen. I could just feel it. Yeah. If I talk to this person, I just know that person's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
And most of the times that I see people that I thought, okay, this person's gonna do this, it's come true. And I think I could just see potential, I guess.
Yeah, but it's your intention behind your interactions is what's constituting the change at least in what I see, you know. And so, overall, when you're making these changes in your life, like it's just going to continue to make, positive reinforcements to allow you to continue this new, what I call crazy cycle, in a good way rather than the bad way that we mostly get stuck in, because it's like, it's really hard to see and to accept what's really happening opposed to what we think is happening or what we think we want at the moment to happen.
Yeah.
Patience, I think, is like the one thing that people lack in terms of pursuing weight loss, because weight comes on perceivably very quickly, which it doesn't. It takes a very long time and a lot of work.
I mean, I was able to do, 30 pounds in a year.
Yeah,
that's how much I gained.
Yeah,
30 pounds.
And then the average person overall will gain 10 to 20 pounds every 10 years usually. So this is why like obesity is on a sliding scale. It is a little different nowadays since we see more obesity in children.
Ooh, that's scary.
But, then they say it's genetic, but I'm like, well...
What do you got to say about that?
I mean, we know that there's certain genes associated with obesity, but we also know that you can't gain weight unless you're eating.
Well, that's the thing about the environment, right?
Yeah.
If you have hot Cheetos all around your environment,
if you have
that's all you're going to eat of hot Cheetos.
Well, let's simplify it. If we have a surplus of calories that's unchecked and you're not burning it off, you're going to gain weight, like inevitably. Yeah. It is, you can't change the laws of physics, the laws of thermodynamics.
What you put in, that's what you're gonna get out.
Pretty much, yeah. And if you don't burn it off, or if you ain't balancing it out, then you're definitely gonna.
If it's not coming in, if it's not coming out in any way possible, it's gonna gonna just build up and pile on.
And there's this really fascinating study that came out recently, and it shows that people in their 60s have this metabolically or no different than people in their 20s. The thing that is different, and why I think this study is useful, is because it gets rid of this notion that metabolism should be thought of as a speed. It should not be thought of as a speed. We have to think of it as a budget, because the more we think of it conceptually as a budget, think about finances.
Yes.
If you have so much to spend every week, if you spend too much, you go into debt. If you break even, you break even. If you save, you save, right? If you spend under. So essentially that translates into eating less, usually results into losing. Eating exactly what you need, you're going to maintain, which most people do after a while. Eating a surplus, spending too much, going to the debt means you're going to gain weight.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is.
That's like the simplest way.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing that they know is that generally the older you get, the less you move and the more you eat. But the reason I think arguably why people in the United States eat more is because the food is easier to get. The food's readily available, and the foods that people usually like are calorically dense.
I think I also would say that cultural habits have a thing to play, because I see it in my family. My wife is white, I'm Hispanic. And I see the way my family eats to compare the way that
casseroles and burritos.
Not so much the food that I'm talking about that they eat, the manner that they eat in.
Yeah.
My father-in-law, he won't have a snack during the day at all. He eats breakfast, waits for dinner.
Yep. Yeah.
They're very, same thing with my wife. She won't overeat. She'll have, I'm the one overeating there. I'm the one cooking at night, in the middle of the night, go making the fire alarm set off.
Yeah, no. So culturally, it's like it is a thing. So like I'll have clients that are, second generation from Mexico, and they're like, you don't understand. Like, no, I do. Like, I'm part Mexican and Filipino.
You just have to be stronger than them.
You just have to realize that the way that you talk to them and interact and accept what's going to happen is for you and not them.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. That's what becomes different is. You can and should go interact with your family and enjoy eating some of the foods that you want.
Yes, not what they want to tell me to.
You shouldn't eat just for the sake of what they want you to eat.
Yeah.
That's a eating disorder. It's borderline.
If I'm honest, I think I do have. I've been having my whole life has just been an eating disorder that I've been able to just kind of I don't want to say manage, but just kind of skate through to it without becoming too. What would be the word? Too
obsessive, maybe.
Well, too obsessive, or getting really out of hand. That I wouldn't being anorexic or bulimic, or super obese, overweight. Because it could have really got out of hand. But I always had that what would it call the governor or that little stoppage where I was always
it won't let you get past a certain
because I was always work. I always worked. I'm always doing something physical. All the jobs that I had, they've been physical. I'm always burning calories. So that's one thing that kind of puts a little stop to it.
But usually what we see is by the time you're my age, you'll start slowing down.
That's true.
Then you could gain that extra 20, 30 pounds.
I think, I think what's gotten really fired me up is now with my daughter, I'm more able to say, I'm more able to be more decisive.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, because I had to be that example for my daughter.
I just wanted to make sure my kids could say, my dad could beat up your dad.
I don't think I want her to say that. I've never been a fighter, okay, guys? I've been a lover.
No. The producer and seducer.
That's what they call me, the sound seducer.
Yeah, the sound seducer.
I treat the sounds with love, okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So no, I love the way the flow of this is going, because it's giving direction in everything.
Yeah.
And we went through tons of layers of what actually goes into a lot of this stuff happening, because it's too easy to just say eat less. It's too easy just to say eat a keto diet or be plant-based. This is why the vast majority of people fail at dieting within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're talking like 98%.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in that 98% because I tried different diets other than
than the
keto and all that. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, in the studies, it shows that people don't actually have a problem with losing weight. They have a problem with keeping it off.
Yeah.
And why is that, right? It's because we if it takes tons of restriction and tons of excessive movement and exercise to get to where you need to go, it's going to take that to maintain it. That's the problem. Unless you're willing to just live that lifestyle,
No.
Well, it's like, I'll use myself as an example. Like, I don't think I work out a lot. I feel like I work out like a normal
amount
fit person would work out. But then
in your industry,
someone who would identify as fit. You know? But then my weekends, you know, like a lot of people, that's when they rest. I go do more. You know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you go
out, and you know, 5 hours of biking and cycling and all that. Like, it's a lot. You know?
It's a lot. Yeah.
There's a noticeable difference when I'm not doing it.
Well, how do you feel?
I just feel different. I just know I can't eat as much. Like, that's.
Yeah. You realize that.
Oh yeah. That's
I think one thing that I wanted you to expand on that you talked to with Amanda on the previous episode is the relationship with food. Like, you know, just expand on it more. Like, what is this relationship? How do we create a healthy relationship with food?
You know, arguably, like, it's a funny thing to say, having a better relationship with food, when in my opinion we should not have a relationship with food, right?
I'm gonna delete this.
No, but we do need to address it, because many of us have poor relationships with food. And so we have to not only think and understand that you don't need a relationship with it, but you're going to have to do certain things that make you feel different and see food different and make you feel different around certain foods, especially if you notice that you're in a predicament where you're constantly overfeeding, constantly feeling bad about eating certain things. And it's just coming to terms with the fact that it's like you're either going to eat foods that make you feel good, eat to a point of satiety that maintains energy and supports the goal. So if the goal is weight loss, then you have to be in a deficit. You don't have to be in an extreme deficit, but you need to be in a deficit. And from that point, you know, being able to push the calories back up to a maintenance after you get to where you want. It's a weird thing that we have to deal with that we've never had to deal with. But you know, it's arguably one of the things that's hindering most of the you know, from a health standpoint, and I would even argue mental health too. It kind of stems. Not to say that fit people are more mentally healthy, but I would maybe make a strong argument that they might. Most of them maybe. I don't know. It all depends on what's going on. I mean, it goes to say, it's like you're going to view life differently when you feel like you have control over what you decide to eat, rather than you feel uncontrolled when it comes to eating. And
my wife.
We're probably that leads us to the end of our podcast, because it is about that time. Anyways.
Yeah, it's about the wife's calling you. We gotta go.
No, but in all seriousness, I appreciate you opening up and discussing. It's personal, you know.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I don't mind, because you know, this is gonna hopefully help some other people in my situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So I struggle with, you know, food on my entire life.
Yep.
And right now I'm trying to get a handle on it.
And we're going to track his journey.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm here all day, so.
Shame him. No,
a little bit. Just a nudge. Bit. A nudge. You got to push me a little bit.
Yeah. But so that's, I'd say that's about it, man.
That's about it, guys. Okay. Thank you, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
All righty. Peace out, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to get going.